Elon Musk didn't hold back after Donald Trump dismissed the federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein as a hoax on his social media platform, X. Responding with sarcasm, Musk wrote, "Wow, amazing that Epstein killed himself and is in federal prison for a hoax?" His comment pointedly questioned how an investigation could be fake if people were actually convicted and imprisoned. Musk went further, suggesting the government should simply release the files and clarify exactly which part is supposedly a hoax. He also cast doubt on Epstein's reported suicide, noting that even Epstein's own family suspects he may have been killed while in custody.
Well, I have received threats through the years, but it's also because this is not about me. This is about Jeffrey and what happened to Jeffrey. So I don't need to be seen. My location doesn't need to be known because, again, this is not about me.
All right. So what do you believe? You've been very outspoken lately. What do you believe actually happened to your brother?
I believe he was killed. Because I believe that after a day after he died, because when he first died, and I heard on CNN that he was found, dead from a assumed suicide. I was traveling when I heard that, and the government didn't notify me as they claimed they did. I heard it on CNN. And I had no reason to doubt that he committed suicide because he was in prison. I know he was facing a potentially long jail sentence, and I know he wouldn't want to live that way, and he had no dependents, he had no children, parents are gone. He didn't have to worry about me. So I just assumed, because, you hear that, there's no reason to question it. I wasn't happy about it, but I respected his decision. And because I wasn't up on all the details of his case, I wasn't following it. But after the death, and the very next morning, I had to go back to New York to identify his body because I'm the next of kin. And they did the autopsy. And both forensic pathologists that were there, Dr. Roman from the city, it was technically her autopsy, and I had Dr. Barden there because I have the right to have a pathologist there. They came out of the autopsy and they both concurred that this looked more like a homicide than a suicide. And that started raising questions because I thought they'd walk out of the room and say, yeah, unfortunately your brother committed suicide. And that would be the end of it. Trust me.
Mark, what specifically did they say to make it think that it was a homicide and not a suicide?
Well, one of the major things was the 3 broken bones in his neck. Now, Dr. Barden has done about 500 autopsies. He's been doing this for over 50 years. So nobody has more experience with prison deaths than Dr. Barden. He was put on a special commission in New York State after the Attica riots in 1970 to investigate prison deaths. So again, no one has more experience than him. And I've spoken to other pathologists, and they say, on a soft hanging, which is supposedly what Jeffrey was supposed to have done, you might get a broken bone, maybe 2, but no one's ever seen 3 broken bones in this kind of hanging. There was another pathologist showed me a report out of the Philippines where they were investigating broken bones in hangings. And they spoke about a certain percentage have 1 broken bone and a smaller percentage have 2, but there was no mention of 3 broken bones. So that was one of the major factors.
Here's where things get even more suspicious. Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark, claims that the man seen in the footage of Epstein doesn't even resemble him.
Dr. Sampson, who declared it by the chief medical examiner, she never saw the body. She wasn't there.
But what about the video? We know that the cell video, the jail video from inside that corridor was released.
Okay.
Does that not prove?
No, because that video doesn't show where Jeff was. They're trying to make it sound like it's showing Jeff's cell door. That was not Jeff's cell door. I have photographs of his actual cell door. They've been released. They're out there. I've also had a photograph of the tier he was on. Now, in that video, in the beginning of the video, they're talking about they're walking Jeffrey into his cell. Number one, you can't tell that that's Jeffrey in that video. I try to blow it up. You can't tell who that person is from the video. And you can't just walk somebody into Jeffrey's cell that way. To get into his cell, which was on the maximum security tier, you have to go up a little flight of stairs. You have to go through a door. It's a locked bar door. And then you go into the tier, and Jeffrey's cell was the first tier to the right. If you look into
excuse me for asking this. How do you know that, though, if you were never able to visit him there? Were you given a tour?
Because soon after the death, we got the photographs that was taken by the medical examiner's office when they went to investigate, before it was declared a suicide. I have photographs of his cell. I have photographs of the tier. I have photographs of the entrance of the tier. This was given to me, not that long after the death. So these are original photographs of what the place really was. That video is bullshit. I hate to, I don't know a better term.
No, it's fine, but this is what's more important though at this point, because who do you believe had a motive and the power to have your brother inside the jail?
Well, it's an excellent question. I as I've said many times in these interviews, I don't like to speculate.
This is clearly a significant development, as it has sparked widespread public outcry and renewed calls for a thorough investigation into Trump and the Epstein files. Aware that the issue is gaining traction, Trump went on the offensive targeting his own supporters. On Wednesday, he labeled those who believe the government might be concealing key details about the Epstein case as weaklings. He also dismissed any Republicans questioning the official narrative as stupid and foolish.
Political debacle saddling Donald Trump over the course of this weekend and boiling over tonight is widely viewed on the right as his biggest problem with his base in this young presidency. A quote, huge risk to his hold on the party, even the coming midterms. That's from his allies. Headlines screaming about a, quote, rebellion or revolt against Trump. A politician who's certainly benefited from loyalty and a type of perception of almost lockstep, unassailable MAGA loyalty is now finding it clearly in danger. The president's broken vow that he would release all this Jeffrey Epstein material and the Trump administration's quite obvious mishandling of aspects of this case, and certainly the messaging, something they're usually kind of good at, has boomeranged. The false statements, busted claims from the president on down to his attorney general. All of this has become the problem on the right. It was the controversy at a MAGA gathering just this weekend that had plenty of bold-faced MAGA names.
How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
What I'm getting at is at some point, we want answers at some point.
Yeah, answer the questions. That's it. Who went to Epstein Islands? Who specifically went on the plane? Who stayed for more than a night?
Working on behalf of Intel services, probably not American.
Release all the Epstein files, no matter the consequences.
There is no way that we are going to act like the proven harm and abuse that Jeffrey Epstein has caused never happened.
And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working?
If you want the full release of documents, the special prosecutor gets it, and here's why. Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things.
It went on and on and on like that. And if you live in that universe of politics or you follow that kind of media, what you saw there is not new. That's a crescendo over the past week and the past years, because the conspiracies and the content that power so many MAGA voices for their audiences, for their online profits, and for their political heat make this particular topic an obvious public betrayal, one that they cannot abide, not in front of their audiences. People have been promised a payoff for many years on this one. So now President Trump and his top aides are engulfed by the very kind of conspiracy theory that they spent so many years promoting, apparently without a lot of forethought about how it would land if they were in charge again. And we're seeing calls for a so-called accountability for their own leaders who claimed one thing and then...
Many of Trump's supporters within the Make America Great Again movement are outraged. They suspect the government is shielding powerful individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein, some of whom had close ties to Trump himself. In a lengthy post on his platform, Truth Social, Trump dismissed these concerns as a fabricated narrative, pushed by his political enemies. He dubbed it the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and accused former allies of falling for lies. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, he wrote. They haven't learned their lesson, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. Trump added that if these supporters insisted on believing the theory, he no longer wanted their backing. But is that really the full story? Several credible figures familiar with Trump's relationship with Epstein over the years argue otherwise. Case in point, Pam Bondi, a respected Republican and former Attorney General, once claimed that the Epstein client list was literally sitting on Trump's desk for review.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen? It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check.
Trump's response to the situation was underwhelming, to say the least.
Her daughter-in-law said that there should be transparency in the Epstein case. Do you agree with her, sir?
The Attorney General's handled that very well. She's really done a very good job. And I think that when you look at it, you'll understand that. I would like to see that also. But I think the Attorney General, the credibility is very important. And you want credible evidence for something like that. And I think the Attorney General's handled it very well.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden information. We went through years of that. With the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should.
In an interview with a right-wing media outlet, Trump doubled down, claiming the FBI should investigate what he called the Epstein hoax. Framing it as part of a broader political effort to damage him, they could look at this Jeffrey Epstein hoax too, because it's the same stuff put out by the Democrats, he said. Trump also criticized some Republicans, calling them naive for falling for what he sees as a fabricated narrative. Meanwhile, on Truth Social, several users responded to his post, questioning why he hasn't released more information himself.
Talking about Jeffrey Epstein, this guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Over the last few days, a number of members of your caucus have been posting and engaging in some of the discourse about Jeffrey Epstein. Is this appropriate for your members to be doing so? Do you want to see any action on that front?
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people. There are only two things that are possible here. Option one, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists intentionally lied to the American people for years about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. That's option one. Option two is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration and their billionaire corrupt supporters. And so there actively engaging in a cover-up. Option 1, they lied for years. Option 2, they're engaging in a...
Trump's angry reaction this week marks a noticeable shift from how he previously addressed the Epstein case. On Tuesday, he attempted to downplay the situation by calling the investigation boring, though he said he had no problem with releasing credible documents without clarifying which documents he meant. When reporters asked why he thought his supporters were so invested in the case, Trump responded, "I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff." He added, "I think, really, only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it." Trump has long used conspiracy theories to energize his base, often pushing the idea that the government is secretly controlled by powerful elites. But now, that same base is turning the spotlight on him. For once, they're the ones asking the tough questions and they're not satisfied with the answers they're getting.
Armour, I think she was the chick who was working the front desk at his office in Manhattan. She was literally on video saying that all this shit about Bill Clinton on the jet, going to the island, hanging out with Trump and all this stuff. And the right-wing people, like people I know, my parents and like older folks I know in Florida, will say, you know, she came out, thank you for exposing Bill Clinton for being a pedo and doing all this stuff. And Virginia Giuffre, after this happened, she's like, you guys didn't listen to the whole tape. She's like, I was telling you that Trump was at the penthouse 3 days a week and visiting him, but you guys don't want to hear that. And it's like, you know, it's just this weird thing. Like if you do the math, there's gotta be so many high level powerful people that are somehow compromised. Jeffrey Epstein, I think it's super plausible to assume that he would try to trick them with like a girl who looks old, right? Who is possibly like on the borderline of being 18. And you say, oh yeah, this girl, she's 18, 19, 20, whatever. Meanwhile, she's like 17 and they had no idea and they have video footage. And in like a court of law, if I'm the judge, I'm going to let them, like, of course they lied to him. And this is not like some young girl, obviously, but they lied. Yeah. But like in like the court of public opinion, you're never going to win in that case, right? Like that comes out, you're fucked.
You're fucked. I mean, you're fucked if you just go into the island to bang hookers. Like it's like they're of age. Mm-hmm. It's still like whatever he was doing, you preyed on people's desire for experiences and vice.
Yes.
And all these powerful people who, again, they can't just go call a and goes, oh my God, I just blew Bill Gates. This is nuts. You know what I mean? Like you can't trust them. So you have to trust someone who really has a lockdown organization, and they felt like he did.
Yeah.
And that's why they all hung out with him even after he got arrested. This is what's crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of Bill Gates meetings with him were after he was prosecuted, and he got this little slap on the wrist, and he got essentially home detainment. And I think he had to do like weekends at the jail. Was she from what paper? Vanity Fair. So she was responsible for like, because she was like, this is insane. Like, what's going on here? Mm. And then there was the sheriff that had arrested him, said that I was told he was intelligence. And I mean, you got to think, man, if a guy like that is running these kind of parties with all these rich and powerful people, how many different worldwide decisions can be manipulated because of these people and the compromises you have on them?
Right.
It's really a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
From an intelligence perspective.
Yeah, it really is, man. And like the way that the world is shaping out now, and this like rise of Jew hate online is, and I think a lot of it's bots, you know, I think it's coming from every angle, you know, I think it's probably a lot of propaganda and bots coming from Iran, coming from Israel, Saudi, who knows where it's all coming from. It's just such a confusing crock of shit on the internet. But like, you know, on one hand, they were able to pull off some incredible operations. And, you know, on the other hand, we get mad. Now that it gets exposed, we get mad that they have their hooks in us, and the people that are in power, whatever the politicians are, the puppets, just like bend the knee to whatever they're doing. And it gets exposed when people like Tucker did that interview with Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. And he had him on his heels the whole time. That was incredible. That was a biblical interview with Ted Cruz, and that really like pulled the mask off, because like if that guy is explaining his position on Israel being in Congress, and that's his number one thing that made him want to be a congressman, it's like, what are all these other people doing then? Like if there's all this money, and you can see the receipts, how much money they're being given by these lobbies, but like how mad can you get because we let them do it? They're legally allowed to do it.
Yeah, you could be mad, but you really should be mad at the politicians.
Yeah,
the corrupt politicians, and how many of them there are. And like, look at the mayoral race, where they all were saying, "My first trip, I'm going to go to Israel."
Oh yeah, except for what's his name? He said he's going to stay in New York.
Last week, the Justice Department and FBI concluded their review of the Jeffrey Epstein case, reaffirming that Epstein died by suicide. They also stated there is no secret client list waiting to be made public. Trump and Epstein had known each other for years, often crossing paths within the same elite social circles in New York and Florida. In a 2002 interview with New York Magazine, Trump acknowledged a long-standing relationship, saying he had known Epstein for 15 years. He described him as a terrific guy and a lot of fun to be with, adding, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." However, Trump's tone shifted dramatically in 2019 following Epstein's arrest. "I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him," Trump said. "I don't think I've spoken with him for 15 years. I was not a fan." Now with public pressure mounting, there's a growing bipartisan call for more transparency around Epstein's connections and the broader investigation.